My name is George. And welcome to George Skull TV. If you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button below and the bell icon, so you can be updated when I uploaded a new video. Today's video we will talk about the Aztecs. Once upon a time in 13th century, the mighty Aztec Empire ruled in Mesoamerica of pre-Columbian. The exact origins of the Aztec people are uncertain, but they are believed to have begun as a northern tribe of hunter-gatherers whose name came from their homeland Aztlan, or White Land in the Aztec language of Nahuatl. The Aztecs were also known as the Tenica, from which the name for their capital city, Tenochtitlan, was derived, or the Mexica, the origin of the name of the city that would replace Tenochtitlan, as well as the name for the entire country. The Aztecs appeared in Mesoamerica as the south-central region of pre-Columbian Mexico was known in the early 13th century. Their arrival came just after, or perhaps helped bring about, the fall of the previously dominant Mesoamerican civilization, the Toltec. When the Aztecs saw an eagle perched on a cactus on the marshy land near the southwest border of Lake Texcoco, they took it as a sign to build their settlement there. They drained the swampy land, constructed artificial islands on which they could plant gardens and established the foundations of their capital city, Tenochtitlan, in 1325 AD. Typical Aztec crops included maize, corn, along with beans, squashes, potatoes, tomatoes and avocados. They also supported themselves through fishing and hunting local animals such as rabbits, armadillos, snakes, coyotes and wild turkey. Their relatively sophisticated system of agriculture, including intensive cultivation of land and irrigation methods, and a powerful military tradition would enable the Aztecs to build a successful state, and later an empire. The Aztec Empire in 1428, under their leader Itzcoatl, the Aztecs formed a three-way alliance with the Texcocans and the Tacubans to defeat their most powerful rivals for influence in the region, the Tepanec, and conquer their capital of Azcapotzalco. Itzcoatl's successor Montezuma I, who took power in 1440, was a great warrior who was remembered as the father of the Aztec Empire. By the early 16th century, the Aztecs had come to rule over up to 500 small states, and some 5 to 6 million people, either by conquest or commerce. Tenochtitlan at its height had more than 140,000 inhabitants, and was the most densely populated city ever to exist in Mesoamerica. Bustling markets such as Tenochtitlan's Tlatelolco, visited by some 50,000 people on major market days, drove the Aztec economy. The Aztec civilization was also highly developed socially, intellectually and artistically. It was a highly structured society with a strict caste system. At the top were nobles, while at the bottom were serfs, indentured servants and enslaved workers. Do you enjoy the story so far? Please comment yes in comment box and suggestions to improve my videos. Thank you. Let's continue the story. Aztec religion. The Aztec faith shared many aspects with other Mesoamerican religions, like that of the Maya, notably including the rite of human sacrifice. In the great cities of the Aztec Empire, magnificent temples, palaces, plazas and statues embodied the civilization's unfailing devotion to the many Aztec gods, including Huitzilopochtli, god of war and of the sun, and Quetzalcoatl, feathered serpent, a Toltec god who served many important roles in the Aztec faith over the years. The Great Temple, or Templo Mayor, in the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, the rain god. The Aztec calendar, common in much of Mesoamerica, was based on a solar cycle of 365 days and a ritual cycle of 260 days. The calendar played a central role in the religion and rituals of Aztec society. The fall of Aztec Empire. The first European to visit Mexican territory was Francisco Hernández de Córdoba, who arrived in Yucatan from Cuba with 3 ships and about 100 men in early 1517. Cordoba's reports on his return to Cuba prompted the Spanish governor there, Diego Velázquez, to send a larger force back to Mexico under the command of Hernán Cortés. In March 1519, Cortés landed at the town of Tabasco, where he learned from the natives of the great Aztec civilization, then ruled by Moctezuma, or Montezuma II. Defying the authority of Velázquez, Cortés founded the city of Veracruz on the southeastern Mexican coast, where he trained his army into a disciplined fighting force. Cortés and some 400 soldiers then marched into Mexico, aided by a native woman known as Malinche, who served as a translator. Thanks to instability within the Aztec Empire, Cortés was able to form alliances with other native peoples, notably the Tlaxcalans, who were then at war with Montezuma. In November 1519, Cortés and his men arrived in Tenochtitlan, where Montezuma and his people greeted them as honored guests according to Aztec custom, partially due to Cortés' physical resemblance to the light-skinned Quetzalcoatl, whose return was prophesied in Aztec legend. Though the Aztecs had superior numbers, their weapons were inferior, and Cortés was able to immediately take Montezuma and his entourage of lords hostage, gaining control of Tenochtitlan. The Spaniards then murdered thousands of Aztec nobles during a ritual dance ceremony, and Montezuma died under uncertain circumstances while in custody. European diseases like smallpox, mumps and measles were also powerful weapons against the local population, who lacked immunity to them. A Franciscan monk traveling with Cortés observed the impact of smallpox on the Aztecs. They died in heaps. In many places it happened that everyone in a house died, and as it was impossible to bury the great number of dead, they pulled down the houses over them, so that their homes became their tombs. By 1520, smallpox had reduced the population of Tenochtitlan by 40% in just 1 year. Cuauhtémoc, Montezuma's young nephew, took over as emperor, and the Aztecs drove the Spaniards from the city. With the help of the Aztecs' native rivals, Cortés mounted an offensive against Tenochtitlan, finally defeating Cuauhtémoc's resistance on August 13, 1521. In all, some 240,000 people were believed to have died in the city's conquest, which effectively ended the Aztec civilization. After his victory, Cortés razed Tenochtitlan and built Mexico City on its ruins. It quickly became the premier European center in the New World. Once the city had fallen, Cortés began building Mexico City on the ruins. It quickly became a preeminent city in the Spanish colonies and many Europeans came to live there. As a result of his success, King Charles I of Spain appointed Cortés as governor of New Spain. In 1524, Cortés went to Honduras to quell a rebellion against him. He stayed for 2 years, and when he returned to Mexico he found himself removed from power. Cortés traveled to Spain to plead with the king, but he was never again appointed to governorship. Cortés' Spanish wife died and he remarried twice, though never to La Malinche, said Cosme. He fathered several children. The king did allow him to return to Mexico, albeit with much less authority. Cortés explored the northern part of Mexico and discovered Baja California for Spain in the latter 1530s. In 1540, he retired to Spain and spent much of his last years seeking recognition and rewards for his achievements. Frustrated and embittered, Cortés decided to return to Mexico. Before he could go, however, he died of pleurisy in 1547. You enjoy this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also please follow my Facebook page George Skull TV. Once again my name is George and thank you for watching. To attain knowledge, add things every day.